Advisors for the University of Louisiana system met in executive session to discuss personnel matters related to the University of Louisiana at Monroe presidential search. While in executive session, no motions were made nor votes taken. Mr. Chairman, if we can begin the 11 a.m. session.
Yes, sir. Obviously, we're continuing our interviews today and welcome all of you and thank you for being here. It's certainly very fulfilling to see the interest and commitment to the future of the University of Louisiana at Monroe as we work to select the next leader. I'm Mark Romero, Chair of the University of Louisiana System Board of Supervisors, and we have several very committed members serving with us today to do the work in front of us. I want to remind everyone that we have opportunities to provide public comment about an item that we're discussing today. In order to do so, you must complete a public comment card and hand it in to a University of Louisiana staff member seated in the front. Comments will be limited to 2 minutes. As a courtesy to everyone, please turn off your cell phones. Dr. Carrie, if you would, do a roll call to return us to open session.
Okay. President Rick Gallo.
Here.
Mr. Drew Brown. Mr. Barry Busada. Mr. Steve Davison.
Here.
Dr. Joe Leatherman.
Present.
Miss Elizabeth Pierre.
Present.
Mr. Mark Romero.
Here.
Mr. Joe Salter. Dr. Jeffrey Anderson.
Here.
Mr. Paul Coburn.
Here.
Mr. Lee Denny.
Here.
Mayor Friday Ellis.
Here.
Ms. Dana Mejia.
Here.
Ms. Sheila Grayson. Mr. Roy Heatherly.
Here.
Mr. Charles Jackson.
Here.
Mr. Jeff Laudenheimer.
Here.
Ms. Jaden Maloney. Mr. Todd Perry.
Here.
Mr. Dan Robertson.
Here.
Mr. Anthony Rome.
Here.
Ms. Linnell Rucker.
Here.
Mr. Jamie Shelton.
Here.
Ms. Patience Talley.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Dr. Carrie. At this time, our committee chair, President Rick Gallo, will resume the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Earlier, we began the process of conducting public interviews for the position of President of the University of Louisiana at Monroe. We are pleased that each candidate has accepted our invitation to visit ULM and to meet with not only the search committee, but also with faculty, staff, students, alumni, and community members who together make ULM the great university that it is. Not only are we afforded the opportunity to interact with the candidates to discern their ability to lead this institution, but also the visits allow the candidates to determine whether this is the best path for each of them. We have just interviewed Dr. Jonathan Ambrose, and the search committee will next interview Mr. Chris Broadwater. Does any member of the committee have any questions? Do we have any public comments, Dr. Kelly?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, before we begin our interview with semi-finalist Chris Broadwater, I would like to share with you the framework for today's interview. Mr. Broadwater will provide an opening statement, and then the search committee will ask questions. After the search committee has exhausted its questions, Dr. Calais may address questions to the candidate that have been submitted by you, the audience. Again, if anyone would like to submit a question to be considered, please do so by completing a card and turning it in to Dr. Calais or one of our UL system staff members. We will entertain as many public questions as time allows. Following the public interview, the committee will enter into executive session to further dialogue with the candidates. Once Mr. Broadwater has been interviewed and his executive session has concluded, the search committee will return to open session and recess until Dr. Castille's interview, which is scheduled to begin at 1:30 p.m. At this time, I would invite Chris Broadwater to the table. Chris Broadwater is the Vice President and Deputy General Counsel at CSRS LLC, a role he has held since June of 2022. He previously served as the Vice President for Workforce Policy and General Counsel for the Louisiana Community and Technical College System and as Interim Chancellor of Louisiana Delta Community College. Chris has also served as a state representative for District 86 in the Louisiana House of Representatives from 2012 to 2018, where he played an active role in key legislative committees including Labor and Industrial Relations, Education, and Ways and Means. In addition to his legal and legislative work, Chris has held roles as an attorney in private practice and as Assistant Secretary of Labor for the Louisiana Workforce Commission. He holds a Juris Doctorate and Bachelor of Civil Law from Louisiana State University, a Master of Divinity from New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary, and a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology, Family Life Studies from Louisiana College. He is also deeply engaged in community service, serving on several boards, including the North Oaks Health System Board of Directors, where he served as Vice Chair, and the Louisiana Workforce Investment Council. Thank you, Mr. Broadwater, for joining us today. Would you please take a few moments to introduce yourself and your wife and provide the committee with an opening statement?
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, committee, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. It's a pleasure being with you today. I first want to compliment the individuals who have been working with us over the last couple of days, the system staff, the university staff, and the students who have participated in this process have made it an exceptional process. It's been extremely enjoyable. I will tell you and apologize, Mr. President, if I'm a bit distracted today. It is lunchtime on Wednesday, which is fried chicken day at the dining hall. Those of the locals know what that means. But I'm here. I will try to stay focused, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
I would like to start by introducing my family. I have 3 of my 4 daughters with me today. On the end is Ruby Jane, who is 13 years old, will be going into the 8th grade. Next to her is Maggie Francis, my 19-year-old. And then on the end is Rose Catherine. She is 21 years old. My oldest daughter, Emma Grace, is 23 and is a speech-language pathologist in Katy, Texas, where her husband also works. You're wondering who the gentleman is sitting in the middle of all those pretty girls, and that would be Maggie Francis' boyfriend who joined us today, Brendan. So we're glad that they are all here. Next to me is my wife, Hillary. We've known each other 30 years, been married 27 years. Hillary is a lifelong educator. Started her career teaching 4th grade, and then after the birth of our first child, she pivoted a bit and began working with children under the age of 3 with developmental delays, working through the state's Early Steps program. About 6 years ago, she added to that work by going back to the classroom at the same time, and for the last 6 years, she has worked as the art teacher for Southeastern Lab School in grades kindergarten through 5th grade. So she continues to stay involved in that, but I am thankful that she is here. We've received the question several times, why would you do this? And the answer is pretty simple, quite honestly. Hillary and I are both living examples of how education can transform a life and provide opportunities that you otherwise would not have had. And having been the product of professors, teachers, instructors who invested themselves in us and gave us opportunities that we thought were unreachable when we grew up where we did and how we did. Once you realize how those opportunities come to be, you feel like there's an obligation to ensure that others have that same access and opportunity. That's why education has been so important to me during my career. While I was a legislator, one of the first committees I ended up on was education. And you'll recall, many of you were here, I know Mr. Romero was there for a lot of it, watching the cuts that came between 2008 and 2015. and figuring out innovative ways to help provide a lifeline to the university so they can continue that mission of changing people's lives and changing communities and altering the path for families that would make generational changes because of opportunities provided through education. After leaving the legislature, I had the good fortune of working within the community and technical college system. I think one of the most important programs for access for individuals around our state that we have, a program that should be a key partner and ally with all of the universities to ensure that everyone has access and they have the opportunity to proceed beyond that. I was asked in January of 2020, would you please go to Louisiana Delta Community College for 6 weeks while the chancellor, Dennis Epps, steps away for a few weeks to receive some medical treatment. And so I did. And a couple weeks later, COVID showed up. And my 6-week tour resulted in an 18-month tour. And I had the good fortune of living in Monroe for a year and a half, a period of time that I think altered our lives for a long time. It was an incredibly positive experience, working with an amazing team there. I recall one of the first things that popped up while we were there is that we had students who began losing their apartments when COVID hit. And were not going to be able to continue school because they didn't have a place to live. And I called the interim president here at the time and said, "Are your dorms full?" And he said, "They're not." I said, "Can we enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement that if I have students who are single without children and will abide by your policies, and if I give you a policy of insurance, they don't have cash, but they have a Pell Grant. Could they spend it at ULM? You will benefit by having their money spent in your university, and I will benefit because my students have a place to live and can continue their education with me, and hopefully I will hand them off as soon as we are done." And he did that, and I was proud of that partnership. That led to a follow-up discussion figuring out how we could replicate a program that has been wildly successful in South Louisiana between Southeastern Louisiana University and North Shore Technical Community College, where they created the Connect to Success program, where they had students who wanted to be at Southeastern Louisiana University more than anything, but did not meet the admissions requirements. And so North Shore said, "We will lease space from you, we will provide faculty, but you give that student a Southeastern ID, you put them in your dorm, you get them a meal plan so they can have that campus experience they dreamed of. And after one semester of shoring them up in their maths and sciences so they are ready to succeed at your university, we hand them off." It has worked amazingly. They have students now with graduate degrees who came through that program. And so in 2021, I was proud to sign the Cooperative Endeavor Agreement with Dr. Berry to create the Bridging the Bayou program here to replicate the same thing. I'm not sure that it has been enacted with fidelity the way I would like to see it, but you have an unbelievable opportunity with strong two-year college systems around here who can be a pipeline for this university for students for years to come. Mr. President, I could talk for hours on this, and I don't want to take up all the time because I know you have questions, but I will tell you this. University of Louisiana Monroe is an absolute gem, and you are surrounded by people who need what you offer, and we have to figure out how to provide those individuals access and get them into the seats here so that the amazing faculty here can invest themselves in them, change their lives so they in turn can change these communities. I believe there's a tremendous opportunity to do that, and I look forward to being a part of that. I hope I have the opportunity to continue to be a part of that as president. But even if I'm not, I look forward to supporting this university and whoever the next president is to ensure the success of this university and the region around it. I'll be happy to answer your questions, Mr. President and Chair.
Thank you. We will now turn it over to the committee for questions.
Mr. Broadwater, I'll be asking your first question. And I love that you focus part of your opening on LDCC because we serve a very diverse population and access and opportunity is very, very important. So my question is going to be two-part. The first part of my question is, how do you define the responsibilities of the president? And can you share specific skills, experiences that highlights your potential for success in fulfilling these responsibilities?
Sure. Thank you, Ms. Talley. The president that you will get will not single-handedly change this university. The president who can change this university has to have the ability to bring all of the groups that are a part of this university inside the walls as well as the group outside the walls together with a common vision and purpose and demonstrate the energy that is necessary to succeed. The president that will help lead this university forward to become what it is able to do will not establish a singular vision developed by him or her, but will work collaboratively with the faculty and the staff and the community and the students to identify a common vision that they are all invested in, because one group moving forward without the others will result in the university languishing. So I believe if you are going to succeed here, there must be a common vision, a common purpose that is developed in coordination and collaboration with all the parties who have skin in the game. I would not diminish the role of any of those. I think one of the most important groups that we need to be talking to and find out what they believe success looks like is our student body. What will help them have a campus experience that excites them and generates the desire for them to tell all of their friends, you need to come see what's happening at the University of Louisiana Monroe. The faculty as well, the staff as well, the community as well. It's going to take everyone pulling in the same direction to succeed. Do I believe I can do that? Yes. I believe I have a track record of showing a desire to work in a collaborative fashion. If I go immediately back to Louisiana Delta Community College, we did that there. I addressed this yesterday in conversations with faculty and staff. I believe in shared governance. As I told them, I have a wife and 4 daughters. I know what it's like to be left out of some decision making now and then. I am a fan of shared governance and think it should apply everywhere. We brought those groups together. We faced some challenges then. Of course, we all did during COVID. We were facing about a 7.5% budget deficit at the time. We had housing challenges. We, of course, had all of the standard challenges that came with COVID. But in bringing all of those groups together and giving everyone a seat at the table, we worked through those issues. We solved the 7.5% budget deficit without a single individual on staff losing their job. We reevaluated every contract we had, canceled those we did not need, renegotiated those that we needed but thought we could get a better deal. And then we worked collaboratively with all of our division heads to ask, how would you rearrange things so that we can deliver on our mission without sacrificing those who have given their time and their efforts to be a part of the success here? And we did that. As a result of that, we also came back to work early. We were back in our offices in May of 2020. I asked all of the faculty and staff and even students to be a part of that solution and said, if we are going to succeed, the world needs to know we are open for business. And so you'll remember what times were like back then. Parking lots empty, not a lot of activity. I asked everyone, I said, if you've got an extra car, I don't care if it's broken down, bring it to the parking lot. We filled up the parking lot, so when you drove down Millhaven, you said they're open for business and things are happening. And as a result of that collaborative effort, not because of anything I did, but because of what all of us did, we emerged from COVID with our enrollment at pre-pandemic numbers and continued to change the lives of those students. Even prior to that, Mr. President could even probably tell you more stories about this. My goal while I was in the legislature was to be a collaborative individual and advocate that everyone have a seat at the table. Prior to that, whenever I was Assistant Secretary of Labor, we worked on the biggest reform in workers' compensation in 30 years. And the year prior, there had been an absolute war brewing between all of the stakeholders. I brought all of them to the table in 2008, asked everyone to stand down. 2009, we emerged from that with the single largest reform in 30 years, with every one of the stakeholders supporting it and not a single no vote in the legislature. I believe that collaboration is how you end up with great change. And if I am your president, that's exactly what you can expect to see from me. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Broadwater.
Hi, Mr.
Good to
Perry.
see you.
Good to see you, sir.
Good to see your family, too. Thanks for
Thank
bringing
you. They're
them
much
up.
better looking than me. I'm glad they're here.
I wish they'd let me ask some questions, and I'm picking.
You're welcome to ask
No,
them.
no,
They can probably do better than me.
They might tell us something, huh?
Yes, sir.
Well, enrollment numbers are a critical factor in the success and sustainability of ULM,
Yes,
of the
sir.
university. What specific strategies do you plan to implement to attract and retain students, particularly in the face of shifting demographics and increasing competition from other institutions?
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head, and I've shared with some of you that I've talked to that there is not a silver bullet that moves a university forward other than enrollment. For each one of those students that you bring in from a business perspective, you're looking at about $7,500 of revenue that goes towards your bottom line. So you can look at whatever the deficit is and figure out how many students we've got to add to those enrollment numbers. But I think there have to be several things done. Number one, I think there has to be immediate action in the area of recruiting to ensure that we are out selling the great product that we have. It's my appreciation that we're down to about 2 recruiters right now in this university. That's unacceptable. You cannot recruit students if you have no one out there beating the bushes and telling the story that we have. Now, I understand that's difficult to do when money is tight. I would tell you that the ultimate goal would be this: for the state of Louisiana to have it divided into regions, that each one of those regions was of a size that it is possible for one recruiter to develop the relationships necessary within their given region to invite students to come be a part of what's happening at ULM. In addition to those regions inside the state, I believe you need one in Northeast Texas. I think you need one in Southeast Texas. You need one in Southern Arkansas. You need one in Western Mississippi. Separately, you need one that is devoted to the online programming. Now, you can't get there overnight, so what do you do in the interim? Add what you can. And then number 2, we have to engage the Alumni Association. You have alumni around this nation, and every single one of them has a story to tell. And I've met a lot of ULM graduates, and I've never met one who said that they did not enjoy their time at ULM. Every one of them has a great story to tell. We have to engage them as our recruiters until we can staff up internally to have that recruiting platform that we need. For every one of those alumni, engaging them, asking them to be a part of the solution, giving back to their university by telling their story in their community, in their business, in their church, in their high schools. And I will make a pledge, I made this earlier, I believe, in the faculty and staff meeting, that any of those alumni that will engage in that endeavor and will guarantee a minimum of 10 prospective students in their home or in their business or in their church, you give me enough advance notice and I will be there to personally ask for them to come be a student at University of Louisiana Monroe. Those are the first 2 on the recruiting side. I alluded to it earlier, but we have to re-energize the Bridging the Bayou program for a couple of reasons. You have students who are enrolling now who don't quite meet the admission standards, and they are valuable students whose dream has been to be a Warhawk. And we have to help them not only get here, but help them stay here. In order to help them stay here, you have to provide them the support through the TRIO program and supportive services, but I believe you can also do better than that. That Bridging the Bayou program was designed to do just that. While you now have a community of students that I believe the statistics show that in their first semester they have a 61% retention rate, and after 2 semesters less than 50%. If we can surround them with support needed to get them ready and then hand them off to ULM, we do a service to those individuals by ensuring their success. Because when we fail them, when those retention rates stay low, for every one of those students we leave, they aren't leaving your community. They are still here and they are needing jobs and they want to be active participants in the economy around them. And if we fail them by not supporting them and giving them the tools they need to succeed when they come to ULM, we've done a disservice to them, their families, and this community. So I would commit that we would stand back up that Bridging the Bayou program. We would do that initially with Louisiana Delta Community College, and I would also be asking Bossier Parish Community College, Northwest Technical Community College, and Central Technical Community College to develop 2+2 agreements and transfer agreements so they become steady pipelines for University of Louisiana Monroe to receive their students. Thank you, Mr. Perry.
Mr. Broadwater?
Mayor Ellis.
want to welcome your family here. What a beautiful family you have. And I want to say welcome to Monroe and welcome to ULM campus. The question I have for you today is that the universities across the country are facing financial pressures, whether it be to shifting enrollment patterns, rising operational costs, and challenges through state funding. What specific strategies do you plan to implement to navigate these budget crises and the challenges while maintaining academic excellence and supporting student services?
You know, the reliance and the historical reliance of universities on the state for funding began that dramatic change in 2008. We went from being about 65% funded by the state to in the neighborhood of about 30% funded by the state. We are primarily reliant on self-generated revenue. That's why the enrollment numbers are so critical. If you aren't putting individuals in the seat, you don't have revenue and you aren't impacting the lives of the students in the community. But we shouldn't discount the need to work collaboratively with our state. I would tell you, I received the question yesterday during the community and alumni meeting, asking what would your first 30, 60, or 90 days look like after you are named president? And I told them, if you are counting those days from the day that we have a contract, then you missed out a lot of work. You are in the unfortunate circumstance right now that while we are all here, every other university leader in this state is at the Capitol in Baton Rouge clamoring for funding for their university. And we're getting left out in that discussion right now, with the exception of the good work done by our system advocating for us. Thank God Dr. Nick Bruno is here doing day-to-day work, and I know he's having conversations, but there is a need to have someone down there immediately that is engaging with legislators to talk about how we shore up the funding and the budget until we can get our feet underneath us and move forward and chart our own destiny with regard to funding. So I think, number one, that's critical. We have to maintain those strong relationships there. Secondly, I would tell you that if we become reliant on that and we take those funds and only plug a hole and then bank on receiving it again next year, that is not a winning strategy, because there are no guarantees, and as all of you who are in business know, you need to budget around predictability, and that is unpredictable. And so we have got to pick ourselves up in that regard, and that is only going to happen by enrollment. Now, there are a couple of other ways that can be helped. We have some significant expenses in some various programs that are not being met right now in a way that I believe is how they ultimately should be addressed. I'll give you a couple of examples. There's been a lot of talk within Monroe and outside of Monroe about the relationship of athletics within a university. I will first tell you that athletic program is critically important to the success of this university. You don't have a greater marketing tool than you have within that athletic program. You'd have an opportunity with that athletic program to generate community spirit and engagement, getting individuals on the campus like nothing else will do. But I will tell you, I believe the current model, financial model, and how athletics is supported is ultimately unsustainable. If you are going to do that correctly, my suggestion to you would be this. If you look at other universities around this state, universities of similar size around this country, they have a robust and very active athletic foundation. We have an athletic foundation, and we have a good athletic foundation, but I believe there needs to be more activity there and more financial support coming through the athletic foundation as opposed to coming directly from the university. Now, that is not solely on the shoulders of those who lead the athletic foundation. The truth is, it takes a community investing and donors giving to make that foundation work. And so I would issue a challenge to the community at large. Time to step up if you love your university. Invest in the athletic foundation. Invest in the university's foundation. And whenever there are events, buy tickets and have yourself in a seat. I issued that same challenge to faculty yesterday. I would love to see the faculty be season ticket holders and be there, have their families there. I think that's going to be critical to stabilizing the financial picture going forward. That is not going to be a short-term fix, Mayor Alice. When I initially looked at this position and looked at the finances, in my mind, I was setting for myself a goal of maybe 2 to 3 years of being in a comfortable position. I think that was a bit aggressive, honestly. I think we're looking at a little bit longer run before we reach some level where we can let out a sigh and gather our breath and go again. But I absolutely believe it's possible. In order for us to do that, it is imperative that the faculty, staff, students, and this community begin telling the story of all of the positives that are coming out of here, praising the health sciences program, our business program, our arts programs, our athletics. You have so much more good going on here to have it drowned out just by incessant talk over concerns about where the finances are today. Let's talk about where the finances are going to be tomorrow. And let's talk about what it's going to look like in 6 years when we celebrate the 100th anniversary of this university, when we are one of the leaders in the state, showing how to do it the right way. So I have the utmost confidence it can be done, but I think it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take the community, the students, the faculty, and the staff to achieve those things.
Good morning, Mr. Broadwater. How are you?
I'm very well, a little bit tired and craving fried chicken, but other than that, I'm good.
You know, I mean, honestly, everybody in here wants to be having fried chicken. We probably could smell it if you sniff really hard. So shared governance is essential in fostering collaboration among faculty, staff, students, and administration. How do you plan to ensure meaningful engagement from all stakeholders in decision-making processes while balancing institutional priorities and leadership responsibilities?
Sure. As I alluded to earlier, one of the first things that we did whenever we arrived at Louisiana Delta Community College was ensured that our faculty senate president sat in our cabinet meetings and was engaged immediately in those discussions. You can't have discussions amongst executive staff about the importance of enrollment and the course calendar without having a representative of the faculty there who are going to be asked to help implement it. So number one, that was critical. Number two, I ensured that we had weekly meetings between our faculty senate. We did not have a staff senate president at Delta, but I would say here you can expect faculty senate president, staff senate president to have routine meetings to voice the concerns, ideas of the individuals they represent, and that would be critically important to include them. Likewise, the SGA president on behalf of the students, including them in regular meetings. The next thing, though, I think is critically important, we likewise did this when we were at Louisiana Delta and were facing some financial uncertainty at the time. We developed a Power BI dashboard that showed exactly where we are in enrollment, how it compared to the year prior, 2 years prior, what our goal was, how far we were short, what percentage we need to make up in the next week in order to be back on target, how that directly impacted finances, where our finances were relative to budget, where our expenditures were, and where we need to be adding revenue to ensure that we were on a solid foothold with regard to our budget. We shared that with all of our campus leaders, so they never had to wonder where we stood, where we were going, and what it was going to take to get there. I believe it's one thing to have meetings with individuals and demonstrate shared governance. It's another to ensure they have the same information you have so everyone can make an informed decision together. That's the commitment I would make, is making sure that I was providing the information to those individuals, treated them with respect, and included them in all of those decisions. Now, the last caveat to that is this. Ultimately, a decision has to be made, but my pledge would be to conduct myself in a way that engaged them in the conversation so that whenever a decision was made, they felt like they could support it because they were included fairly in the process. That's my pledge.
Thank you.
ULM has partnerships and collaborations with industry to address workforce needs, drive enrollment, and expand private funding opportunities. Can you describe your experience with similar initiatives and share specific ways you've contributed to their development and success?
Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Ruckert. Obviously, in the two-year college system, there is also a robust relationship with industry partners. In fact, it's critical that we have those industry partners many times. while I was there at Louisiana Delta, one of the things we initiated in 2020 was to really make a focus on creating and growing an ag tech program. We're surrounded by a region that is the largest row crop agricultural region in the nation, and we saw there being a deficit in terms of providing individuals who could meet the needs of our farmers around us. And frankly, we're a bit discouraged that so many of our students in this region chose to go to Mississippi State for an agricultural degree. I think there's a tremendous opportunity to do that here in partnership with Louisiana Delta, but also with ULM and growing that ag program. In order to stand that up, it became imperative that we partner with our local companies. And so Goldman was one of those that worked with us to ensure that we had the tools that we needed, that we had the equipment that we needed, and then working collaboratively not only with them, but with the national companies, with the John Deere, Caterpillar, and Kubota, to ensure that they were sponsors of our program, provided us equipment, provided us funding to help stand up those programs so that the students not only had the opportunity to train in a specific program, but to train on exactly the equipment they would be working on whenever they left the university. That was critical. Another example of those partnerships, and I think it goes beyond just the individual businesses, but with the community at large and our sister institutions. Besides the other ones I've mentioned, I would tell you that in 2020 we had worked to raise the money and obtain money from the legislature to replace a campus location in Ruston, Louisiana. We had a piece of land picked out. We were in negotiations with the donor, and in the fall of 2020, I received a message from our system president saying that land is no longer available, but we're going to build a campus. And we're going to build that campus starting in 4 weeks at the site of the current campus. You have to find a place to move all of the students in that campus so they can start classes 4 weeks from now, because we're going to demolish that building. Separately, you have to have, according to the legislation we had at the time, a 12% match from the local community, businesses and government. And so over a 3-week period, I called a good friend who happened to be the president of Grambling State University and said, Mr. President, we need access to nursing facilities. We will meet at night, we will meet during lunch. Whenever your students are not there, we will meet. And the president was gracious and provided us that opportunity. I called the president at Louisiana Tech and said, Mr. President, we need classes for our general education and business classes. We had those agreements in place during that 3 weeks. I then went to Mayor Ronnie Walker and said, Mayor Walker, I need a 12% match. I'm pretty sure you're working on infrastructure around this area that affects the roads and the plumbing and the water underneath our campus. Can you show me how much you're spending on that? Because I think we need to have that as a match so we can proceed with construction. In a 3-week period of time, we developed those relationships between our governmental partners, our sister schools, and with our community at large. We placed all of our students in comfortable education environments, and 3 weeks later, we demolished an existing campus. Those relationships change from time to time, but it's the same with business and industry. At the end of the day, I would tell you that we aren't here just to train individuals. If we train those individuals and they, number one, are not employable, or they are not trained in fields that directly relate to the needs of this region, then we failed the region. We failed the student. Many of them want to stay here and invest here. So I would tell you there are a couple of things that are critical to doing that. Number one, we need to be making sure that we have established internships and apprenticeships at the 4-year university level so that we have our students plugged into those opportunities within our businesses in the community. Number two, I would say ULM has done about as good a job as any university in this state in aligning their programs of study to the needs of the community around them. Your health sciences program, being your largest set of programs, is absolutely outstanding. You are aligning your students to the demands of the medical sector around you. You are aligning them to jobs that are going to exist not only in 5 years, but in 10, 15, and 20 years, because in terms of our national economy, The medical portion of that economy is the one place that it's not sagging, it's growing. We have an aging population and there is demand there. We need to feed that beast more, and I will tell you why. You have an outstanding program in VCOM who in the last 2 years has graduated programs and they have 100% placement in both programs. And I will tell you where some of them are placed. I'm on the board of directors for North Oaks Health System in Hammond, Louisiana, and we're taking every resident we can get. If you've got 100% placement, we probably ought to produce more because everyone is clamoring for the product that you're producing. So I would tell you we need to develop those relationships and ensure that all of our medical facilities in this region are getting those students and we are placing them and we grow those programs so that we can produce more. But I appreciate the question. I think that is critical for this university succeeding. This is a really long table. I'm having to look down both ends and figure out where the rapid fire is coming from.
Mr. Broadwater, thank you for being here.
Yes, sir.
Family, I was submitted to ask the question about athletics, but I think you alluded to that earlier. Would you like to add anything to it? I know it's very challenging when we look at, in today's world, trying to keep the balance amongst athletics and academics. And we know athletics is to be said sometimes a front porch of a university because it is a great marketing tool, just as our pharmacy program,
Correct.
all the other things that go along with it. You want to add anything to the balance?
I'm glad to add, and I will provide a short answer to this in case you want to ask something else. So I don't want to deny you time by answering something I've already answered. But look, I will tell you, it is absolutely critical that we have our athletic programs active and succeeding. Beyond the marketing tool that you have through athletics and a successful athletics program, it's one of the greatest opportunities to teach those students leadership and how to interact and how to work collaboratively for a common goal and purpose. It is a fantastic program. We ought to be supporting it. My comments earlier should in no way be construed to say that we should not support it by withdrawing money from the university. What I'm saying is we need to look for a way that provides them a more certain and robust funding mechanism to ensure their success so that the university's finances can also be invested in such a way that we don't neglect the unbelievable work that's being done through our academic programs and in our arts and the like. So it is a great opportunity. Looking at what athletics is doing, when I saw the beginning of last year's football season, and you think back to that, those first 4 or 5 games, there was as much excitement as I've ever seen surrounding a football program in this area in a lot of years. Now, it didn't end the way we wanted it, but it showed you what's possible. If we can generate that type of excitement, the only thing that is going to make that better is ensuring that the seats are filled with people from the community, our students, our faculty, and our staff that are a part there. One other thing I would tell you, I have watched the great success in a university right down the street from my house. I happen to live 5 houses west of home plate of the Southeastern baseball field. A school that has much larger enrollment but sits in a community with about 1/3 of your population. They would give anything to have 60,000 people in the immediate region to sell tickets to. But what they have done and what they have helped to do to generate excitement on campus is fantastic. Number one, every one of those games, you will see someone from the community who is cooking not only for our team, but for the opposing team. In other games, you will not only see members from the community cooking for those teams, but cooking to let the students know there is a free plate of jambalaya if you show up at the game and support your classmates in their endeavors. I think that's something else that we need to be looking at and how we drive that excitement. There is no reason that our stand should not be full of students. And it doesn't cost a lot of money to make a pot of jambalaya or a pot of red beans and rice and get those students there, feed them. And I guarantee you we have members in the community who would do that in a heartbeat if we just ask them. But I think there's a great opportunity for success. Athletics is critical, and I look forward to seeing it succeed.
Okay. Dr. Calais, do we have any questions from the audience?
Yes, sir. We have 4 questions from the audience. The first question, Mr. Broadwater, you've just pretty much covered it, but I do want to recognize this student, Thomas Little, who has submitted a question about athletics. And his question is, what are your goals for athletics and what are your thoughts? If you care to add anything to what you previously responded, that will be fine.
The only thing I would add to that is a president has to lead by example in that. And you can expect to see my wife and me and any of my children are here. We could almost fill up a section by ourselves, particularly if they bring boyfriends along. But you could expect to see each one of us at every one of those events, leading by example, helping generate that excitement, and not just athletics, but I missed Little Shop of Horrors a couple weeks ago, and you could expect to see us at those events, as well as events in the community, letting them know that we value those partnerships.
Thank you. The next question is from Anne Marie Sorter. She's a staff member here. What is your plan, if hired, to capitalize on the Meta plant?
So the Meta plant provides an unbelievable opportunity in a couple of ways, but not only because of that. The ripple effect that is beginning to occur now because of that, I believe will surpass the impact of that project by itself. What I would be doing to help impact that would be several things. Number one, or to benefit the university. Number one, there are opportunities to work and partner with Meta. Everywhere Meta has gone around this country, they have not only just come in to create a business that benefits them, but they have invested in the community around them, and they should be commended for that. Number one would be finding out how we could partner so they could invest in the work that's being done here. Number two, evaluation of our programs to understand whether there are any specific concentrations that can be added so that our students have the greatest opportunity for placement for any jobs that might be available either directly with Meta or all of the spin-offs that happen or supporting industries that will come around them, number two. Number three, I was just in Gallatin, Tennessee about 3 weekends ago, where Meta also has a data center. And I asked Dr. Wendy Tostenson, who used to be at Delta, is now president of Vol State University. I said, tell me about the Meta facility that you have here in Gallatin. And she said, it's massive. I said, how big is it, Wendy? And she said, it's about the size of 3 football fields. And I looked to see what was happening in Gallatin, Tennessee because of a data center that was 3 football fields large, and thought, my God, what is going to happen when we get one that's the size of the island of Manhattan? The opportunities that are going to come from that is not just focusing purely on what Meta can do for us, but being there to support Rob Cleveland and Grow Neela to bringing that next project that's going to be supportive of Meta or going to be here because of Meta. It is going to be helping this entire region develop a plan to understand what they need to do so that they can capitalize. In Tensall Parish and East Carroll and West Carroll and Union Parish, how do we help them understand what can be done to develop their communities and provide opportunities for this entire region, all of whom ULM serves? If I was going to be here, I would be using that Meta opportunity as the catalytic moment that it is that will change this region for generations to come, and figuring out how we lift up the entire community by their participation, and with ULM leading the way and providing them that data, providing them that plan, and providing that spur that everyone can be lifted together. Thank you, Dr. Kelly.
Yes, thank you. We do have 2 more questions. This next question is from a student here at ULM, Gabrielle McLeod. How do you plan to support underrepresented students and faculty, especially in the wake of political or legal challenges to DEI programs?
You know, what ULM needs more than anything right now are living, breathing students who want to learn. And I will take them wherever they come from, help find ways to alleviate any barriers to access they have so that they can be a part of what ULM has to offer. I will go anywhere, anytime, any place if there is a student on the other end who wants to be a part of this. The truth is, we have major access issues not only here, but across this country. And I would tell you one of the greatest areas that is occurring is not only in marginalized individuals because of either their race or their sex. I shared this stat yesterday in one of the groups, but I'll share it again. You've got 4.6 million people in this great state. And of that 4.6 million people, 2.3 million of them are between the ages of 19 and 65. They are working age adults. And of that 2.3 million people, 1.2 million of them have a high school diploma or less. You have over 25% of your population in this state, and that percentage is even greater in this 13-parish region around us, that have the only thing separating them from participating in this economy and changing their lives, their families' lives in this region forever, is the ability to get the one thing we offer. And if we aren't trying to figure out how we get them access to what we have to offer, then we have failed the region and we failed them. The largest marginalized group around here are our adults without a college education, and we've got to figure out how to reach them. That is a challenge, because the model that is in place here, and in fact, the model across 92% of all higher education institutions in America, is a 16-week semester-long system. And when you do a 16-week semester system, you get 3 opportunities to get on that carousel every year. And you know what? While that's great, life doesn't work that way. People lose their jobs in between the 16-week semester starting. People have to find skills when it happens to them. During COVID, we had those individuals in the hospitality sector lose their jobs the first week of April. And if they walked into ULM or just about any other higher education institution in America, the response would be, come back and see me in 3 months, and we'll get you in a summer program. And if we don't provide opportunities for that 1.3 million people in Louisiana with a high school diploma or less to figure out how they can be a part of what we have to offer so that we can invest in them and change their lives, then that's the greatest disservice we could do to a marginalized community. We've got to find innovative ways to get them on our campus. ULM has done a great job that not many people in higher education have done, is that they have started using some 8-week mini semesters in their programs. That's great. Now you just provided more opportunities to get on that carousel. But maybe we could get creative and figure out whether it's possible to do 4-week micro semesters, so that every 4 weeks you have that first part of English starting again with a new professor teaching it, so that whenever someone walks into our campus, the answer is yes, we're about to start. Let's get your books, let's get your financial aid in order, and let's figure out how we get you plugged into what we have to offer. So I hate to go off on a tangent on the adult population, but I will tell you that's our largest opportunity. But any student anywhere in this state or outside this state should know for a fact that if I'm president of this university, all are welcome, all are needed, and we will invest ourselves in whoever you are and hope that we send you away with a educational opportunity that changes your life forever.
Thank you. This last question comes from another student, Kelly Lohman. With your political background, how do you see yourself equipped to separate your relationships with state politicians from decision-making for the university?
I don't know whether it's a compliment or a derogatory comment. I was not always one to go along to get along when I was in the legislature. I had a group of individuals that I represented, and it required me to make decisions that were not always popular among my colleagues. Not to discuss politics, but I'm a registered Republican who was elected by a district that was majority Democrat. That caused me to represent those people in a way that was not always popular with my colleagues. But I wasn't elected by my colleagues, I was elected by my community. And those were the people that I had to represent. I would see it very similarly while I'm here, if I am chosen as your president. The job of the president is to be the voice and the face of this university. And my allegiance would be to this university alone. Not to anyone else, not to any other institution, though I live half a block from Southeastern right now, and I love Southeastern University. But they better watch out if I'm president, because I will try to take every dollar they have too and put it in ULM's coffers. Pay attention, Dr. Wainwright. My allegiance is to the university, the people that I represent, and that's what it would be regardless of that. Having said that, we have a fine legislative delegation, all of whom care deeply about this university and this region. Would I use those relationships to advocate on behalf of the university? You better believe it. I already have. But I would do that going forward. But if at any point any of them asked me something or to do something that I did not believe was in the best interest of the university, I would, with respect, tell them what I believed was best for the university, and I would represent the university.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Broadwater. President Gallo, that concludes the public question portion of the meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Calais. Before I go into the next section, I did want to acknowledge and recognize the chair of the Louisiana Board of Regents, Misty Cordell, who joined us here today. She has visited every campus in the state of Louisiana, and so I want to thank her for taking the time to be with us here today for the ULM search process.
Thank you.
At this time, I would ask that the committee meet in executive session pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 42:17 to discuss the personnel matters in association with this presidential search. While in executive session, the committee may meet with its staff, legal counsel, or other persons it deems necessary. No motions nor other action may be taken while in executive session. May I have a motion and a second to go into executive session? Moved by Mr. Drew Brown, second by Dr. Leatherman. Dr. Calais, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Drew Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Steve Davison?
Yes.
Dr. Joe Leatherman?
Yes.
Miss Elizabeth Pierre?
Yes.
Mr. Mark Romero?
Yes.
Dr. Jeffrey Anderson?
Yes.
Thank you. It is unanimous.
Okay, we will retire to executive session.